Stop wasting the first minutes of your day, because those 10 minutes are not ordinary minutes. They are a battlefield, and every single morning you either win that battle or you surrender before the day even begins. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their mind. Notifications, messages, noise. They allow the world to tell them what to think, what to feel, what to fear, and by the time they step into their day, their focus is already scattered. But the disciplined mind does something different. The disciplined mind protects the first 10 minutes like treasure. Those 10 minutes are not for scrolling. They are not for reacting. They are not for complaining. They are for commanding. When you wake up, your mind is in its most programmable state. It is open, it is impressionable, it is powerful. What you feed it in those moments becomes the emotional tone of your entire day. If you feed it doubt, you will hesitate. If you feed it fear, you will shrink. If you feed it distraction, you will drift. But if you feed it purpose, you will dominate. In those 10 minutes, you decide who you are going to be, not who you feel like being, not who circumstances push you to become, who you choose to be. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and speak to yourself with authority. I control my thoughts. I move with discipline. I act with courage. I finish what I start. This is not positive thinking. This is mental conditioning. Greatness is not built in public. It is built in private decisions like this, when nobody is watching and you choose focus over comfort. You do not need an hour. You do not need perfect conditions. You need 10 intentional minutes of absolute mental clarity. Visualize your goals with intensity. See yourself executing. See yourself overcoming obstacles. Feel the confidence of already achieving what you desire. Your subconscious does not know the difference between imagination and reality when emotion is involved. Use that power, then plan one decisive action. Just one. The mistake most people make is trying to conquer the entire day in their head. Champions conquer the next move. One clear action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates results. Those 10 minutes are where hesitation dies. They are where excuses lose power. They are where discipline is born again daily. Understand this, your competition is not smarter. They are not more gifted. They simply win their mornings more consistently. They do not negotiate with laziness. They do not debate with doubt. They do not scroll their potential away. They command themselves, and when a person learns to command themselves, the world eventually listens. If you cannot control the first 10 minutes of your day, how will you control opportunities, money, leadership, or influence? Self-mastery begins at sunrise. The first 10 minutes determine your emotional standard. And standards shape outcomes. Raise your standard in silence. Wake up and sit up immediately. No delay. That small physical action sends a signal to your brain, I move when I decide. That is identity transformation. Then protect your focus fiercely. No phone, no noise, no outside influence, just you and your intention. Decide your attitude, decide your effort, decide your commitment. Do this consistently and something powerful happens. You stop living reactively. You stop drifting through days. You start attacking them with precision. 10 minutes may sound small, but disciplined repetition turns small actions into massive transformation. One match can light a fire. One decision can change a life. 10 minutes can redirect your future. You do not rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your daily discipline. So tomorrow morning when your alarm rings, understand that it is not just a sound. It is an invitation to power, an invitation to control, an invitation to separate yourself from the average. Do not waste it. Guard those 10 minutes like your future depends on them, because it does. And when you master your mornings, you will no longer chase success. You will attract it. Because a person who commands their mind at dawn becomes unstoppable by noon and undeniable by night. The most valuable 10 minutes of your morning are not optional. They are your advantage. Use them. Your morning determines your mental dominance for the entire day. The first battle you fight is not against the world. It is against your own hesitation. In the fragile seconds after you wake up, your identity is soft, unshaped, waiting for instruction. Most people surrender in that moment. They reach for distraction, they invite noise, they hand their focus to the outside world before claiming it for themselves. And then they wonder why their day feels chaotic, heavy, uncontrolled. Mental dominance is not an accident. It is established at sunrise, in silence, in discipline. The mind is most impressionable when it first awakens. Whatever enters at first leaves a mark. If you allow stress to rush in, your body follows with tension. If you allow comparison to enter, confidence weakens. If you allow delay, procrastination grows roots. But if you inject purpose immediately, something powerful happens. Your posture changes, your breathing deepens, your thoughts align. You begin the day as a commander, not a victim of circumstance. Control in the morning is proof of self-leadership. Anyone can appear confident at noon when momentum already exists. Anyone can speak boldly when results are visible. But the true test of strength is the unseen moment when your alarm rings and no one is watching. Do you rise with intention, or do you negotiate with comfort? Every negotiation with comfort weakens authority over your own mind. Every decisive action strengthens it. When you sit up immediately, you send a signal to your subconscious, I move when I decide. That simple act builds internal credibility. And internal credibility is power. Without it, goals feel distant. With it, goals feel inevitable. The world respects those who respect their own commitments. But respect begins internally, in those first disciplined movements of the day. Your thoughts at dawn are seeds. Plant doubt, and you harvest hesitation. Plant clarity, and you harvest precision. The disciplined individual chooses thoughts deliberately. They do not wait to feel motivated. They create motivation through action. They speak direction into their own mind before the world attempts to speak confusion into it. This is not blind optimism. This is calculated conditioning. Energy follows focus. If your focus is scattered in the morning, your energy will scatter with it. But if your focus is sharp, concentrated, intentional, your energy aligns like a laser. And a focused mind accomplishes in hours what a distracted mind struggles to complete in days. Mental dominance is simply sustained focus under pressure, and that skill is sharpened daily at sunrise. Most people underestimate small disciplines because they crave dramatic change. They wait for life-altering opportunities while ignoring life-defining habits. Yet the foundation of greatness is repetition of simple, powerful actions, rising immediately, breathing deeply, visualizing clearly, deciding firmly. These are not glamorous acts, but they are transformative ones. When you claim your morning, you claim authority over your emotional state. Instead of reacting to problems, you anticipate solutions. Instead of being overwhelmed, you become strategic. You enter conversations grounded. You approach challenges prepared. The difference is invisible to others, but undeniable in results. Mental dominance requires guarding your attention. Attention is currency. Wherever it flows, energy grows. If you give it to fear early in the day, fear expands. If you give it to ambition, ambition strengthens. Be ruthless about what you allow into your mind before your foundation is set. Protect that foundation as if your future depends on it, because it does. Clarity in the morning eliminates confusion throughout the day. Decide your priorities before distractions present themselves. Define your standard before temptation tests it. Determine your pace before pressure attempts to rush you. Preparation is quiet power, and preparation always precedes performance. Confidence is not built by praise, it is built by kept promises. Each morning you rise without delay, you keep a promise. Each time you choose focus over scrolling, you keep a promise. Each time you move with intention instead of impulse, you keep a promise. Promises kept become belief. Belief becomes identity. Identity shapes destiny. The world rewards those who are internally stable. Stability begins with a controlled mind. A controlled mind begins with disciplined mornings. When chaos appears later in the day, you remain centered because you anchored yourself early. When criticism comes, you are not shaken because you already affirmed your direction. When obstacles appear, you do not panic because your focus was trained before the challenge arrived. The morning is a testing ground. It tests your priorities. It tests your hunger. It tests whether your goals are wishes or commitments. Wishing requires no action. Commitment demands movement. Even when comfort calls you back to sleep, you cannot expect extraordinary results from ordinary beginnings. If you start your day casually, you live casually. If you start your day powerfully, you perform powerfully. Momentum is created intentionally, and once created, it carries you forward with force. Great achievements are not produced by random effort. They are the result of structured thinking and controlled energy. Structured thinking begins the moment your eyes open. Decide what matters. Decide who you are becoming. Decide how you will respond to adversity before it arrives. That decision alone separates leaders from followers. Every sunrise is an opportunity to reinforce your authority over yourself. The disciplined mind does not hope for a good day, it engineers one. It does not rely on external circumstances, it relies on internal command. And when you consistently command your mornings, you strengthen the one thing that determines all outcomes, your ability to direct your own mind with precision and power. The first thoughts you allow into your mind shape your destiny. That is not poetry, that is power. Before the world touches you, before a single voice speaks your name, before a single demand is placed on your shoulders, your mind is open ground. And whatever you plant there in those first moments will grow throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout your life. Destiny is not a distant event waiting in the future. It is a direction created by repeated thoughts, and those thoughts begin the instant you wake up. When your eyes open, you are standing at the gate of influence. You can permit strength to enter, or you can allow weakness to slip in unnoticed. Most people never realize they are choosing. They wake up and drift. They replay yesterday's failures. They anticipate today's problems. They assume stress before evidence appears, and by doing so, they program limitation before opportunity even has a chance to present itself. A thought is never neutral. It either builds you or it breaks you. It either expands your belief or tightens your fear. The mind does not sit idle. It obeys what you repeatedly tell it. If your first inner statement is, "I am tired," your body complies. If your first inner statement is, "This will be hard," your energy lowers. But if your first inner declaration is, "I am in control," something shifts. Your spine straightens, your breath deepens, your awareness sharpens. This is the unseen architecture of destiny. People imagine destiny as luck, as fate, as external events beyond control. Yet destiny is constructed from internal decisions repeated daily. Your dominant thoughts become your dominant emotions. Your dominant emotions influence your dominant actions. And your dominant actions shape your results. The chain begins with thought, always with thought. Guard the doorway of your mind at sunrise. Do not allow yesterday's disappointment to walk back in unchallenged. Do not invite comparison. Do not replay criticism. Replace it immediately with intention. Speak to yourself deliberately. Tell your mind what to focus on. Tell it what standard to operate under. Tell it who you are becoming. You cannot entertain doubt and expect confidence to grow. You cannot rehearse fear and expect courage to appear. The mind grows what it is fed consistently. Feed it clarity. Feed it vision. Feed it discipline. Those first minutes are fertile ground, and fertile ground does not discriminate. It will grow weeds just as easily as it will grow strength. High achievers are not superhuman. They are simply selective. They are ruthless about what they allow into their consciousness at the beginning of the day. They do not scroll aimlessly. They do not consume chaos before establishing order internally. They build mental structure before stepping into external demands. Imagine beginning each day with a statement of authority. Today I act with precision. Today I remain composed. Today I execute. That repetition may seem small, but repetition builds identity. Identity drives behavior, and behavior compounds into destiny. The most dangerous habit is passive thinking. Passive thinking allows circumstances to dictate your emotional climate. Active thinking declares direction regardless of circumstances. When you actively choose your first thoughts, you shift from reacting to creating. You move from survival to strategy. Your subconscious mind does not argue with you, it absorbs what you repeat. If you wake up and internally whisper that you are overwhelmed, it searches for proof. If you wake up and assert that you are capable, it searches for opportunity. The subconscious is loyal. It will build evidence to match the script you hand it. Write that script with strength. The quality of your life reflects the quality of your internal dialogue, and that dialogue begins the moment awareness returns each morning. You are not required to feel powerful to think powerfully. Feeling follows focus. Focus precedes emotion. Emotion fuels action. You may not control every event that happens today, but you absolutely control the lens through which you interpret it. That lens is polished in the morning. If your first thoughts are intentional, challenges appear manageable. If your first thoughts are chaotic, even small obstacles feel heavy. Do not underestimate the compound effect of a single disciplined morning thought repeated for years. One powerful belief reinforced daily becomes unshakable. One clear intention repeated consistently becomes automatic behavior. Automatic behavior produces predictable results. You are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are at the mercy of your untrained thoughts. Train them, direct them, challenge them, replace them when necessary. The first battle is internal, and victory there simplifies every external fight. Each sunrise hands you a blank mental page. Most people allow old stories to rewrite themselves on it. Strong individuals choose a new narrative. They do not deny difficulty, but they refuse to begin the day defeated. They begin prepared. Destiny is not written in a single dramatic decision. It is carved quietly in the discipline of controlled thinking. And the first thoughts you allow into your mind are the chisel. Use them with awareness. Use them with authority. Use them to build a future that reflects deliberate direction rather than accidental reaction. Discipline in small moments creates power in big decisions. That is the invisible law most people ignore while chasing dramatic breakthroughs. They want courage when the spotlight turns on. They want clarity when pressure rises. They want strength when the stakes are high. But strength under pressure is never built in pressure. It is built in quiet, ordinary moments where no one is watching and nothing seems important. Every time you choose order over chaos in a minor task, you are training your identity. Every time you complete something you promised yourself you would do, even when it feels insignificant, you are reinforcing authority over your own mind. That authority compounds. It becomes confidence. And confidence is what you rely on when the decision is no longer small. Big decisions do not suddenly demand power. They expose the power you have already developed. When opportunity appears, when risk stands in front of you, when fear whispers loudly, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. Preparation is not glamorous. It is built in habits so small that most people dismiss them. Waking up on time, finishing what you start, speaking with intention, listening fully, maintaining posture, keeping your word. These acts appear minor, but they are training sessions for your character. And character is what decides under pressure. The mind does not separate small from large actions the way the ego does. It recognizes patterns. If you frequently delay small responsibilities, your brain learns hesitation. If you frequently follow through on minor commitments, your brain learns execution. When a major crossroads appears, it will default to whatever pattern you rehearsed most. This is why some individuals freeze when confronted with opportunity, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack potential, but because they have practiced inconsistency in the small things. Inconsistency grows quietly until it defines identity. Discipline is not about dramatic sacrifice. It is about deliberate repetition. It is the decision to act correctly when the reward is invisible. It is the refusal to cut corners when no one would notice. It is choosing standards over convenience. And every time you do this, you strengthen an internal muscle that activates when the decision truly matters. Imagine two individuals facing the same life-changing choice. One has built daily habits of precision. The other has lived casually, acting only when motivation appears. In the critical moment, who stands firm? Who trusts themselves? Who moves without internal debate? The one who trained in silence, power in big decisions, is simply certainty. And certainty is born from self-trust. Self-trust is earned by keeping promises in small moments. You cannot betray your own standards daily and expect confidence when destiny knocks. Small disciplines create internal stability. Stability produces clarity. Clarity eliminates panic. When others react emotionally, the disciplined individual responds strategically. That composure was not invented in the crisis. It was cultivated in routine. The danger of neglecting small moments is that they feel harmless. Skipping a task seems insignificant. Breaking a minor commitment seems forgivable. But repetition transforms small lapses into identity. And identity governs action. When stakes rise, your future is watching how you handle the present. Every choice is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. You either vote for reliability or for excuses. You either vote for strength or for avoidance. Over time, the votes accumulate. And when the decisive moment arrives, the result has already been determined by your daily pattern. People admire bold decisions without understanding their foundation. They see the entrepreneur taking a calculated risk, the leader standing firm under pressure, the individual walking away from mediocrity. They call it bravery. But they do not see are the thousands of disciplined actions that built that bravery quietly. Discipline simplifies decision-making. When your standards are clear and consistently practiced, you do not wrestle with choices. You already know who you are. And when identity is solid, choices align automatically. There is no wasted discipline. Even the smallest act of order strengthens your capacity for control. Control over your schedule leads to control over your focus. Control over your focus leads to control over your emotions. Control over your emotions leads to control over your destiny. You are not preparing for today alone. You are preparing for moments you cannot yet see. The discipline you practice now is an investment in future strength. It may not feel powerful today, it may not attract attention, but it is shaping the version of you who will face critical decisions tomorrow. When the door of opportunity opens, hesitation will either delay you or decisiveness will move you forward. Decisiveness is not a trait gifted at birth. It is built by consistent action in situations that seem too small to matter. Treat small moments with respect. Handle them with seriousness. Execute them with intention, because the quality of your smallest actions determines the power of your largest moves. And when the time comes to make the decision that defines your path, you will not need to search for strength. You will already possess it. Control over your attention is control over your future. In a world designed to steal your focus, the person who masters attention masters destiny. Your attention is not a small mental habit. It is your most valuable asset. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. Wherever your energy flows, results begin to grow. If you cannot command your attention, you cannot command your life. Every distraction is a silent thief. It does not break into your house. It breaks into your mind. It pulls you away from your priorities and convinces you that urgency is more important than importance. And day by day, without realizing it, your future gets shaped by whatever captured your focus the most. Attention is creative power. When you focus deeply on a goal, your brain begins searching for solutions. When you concentrate on growth, your behavior aligns with improvement. When you dwell on limitation, your mind gathers proof of why you cannot succeed. The mind magnifies whatever you repeatedly observe. Most people treat attention casually. They give it away to notifications, gossip, comparison, endless scrolling, and trivial conflict. Then they complain about lack of progress. But progress demands concentrated thought. Success demands sustained focus. And sustained focus requires discipline. The future is not built by occasional effort. It is built by consistent direction of thought. If your attention jumps from one idea to another, from one fear to another, from one distraction to another, your results will reflect that fragmentation. Scattered focus creates scattered outcomes. Control begins with awareness. Notice where your mind drifts when you are not intentional. Does it replay mistakes? Does it anticipate criticism? Does it imagine worst-case scenarios, or does it move toward opportunity, learning, and growth? What you repeatedly think about becomes your internal environment, and your internal environment shapes your external performance. The ability to hold attention on a meaningful task, even when boredom appears, is rare, but that rarity is what creates value. Anyone can focus when excitement is high. Very few can focus when repetition feels dull. Yet mastery is built in repetition. Wealth is built in repetition. Strength is built in repetition. When you train your attention, you train your mind to resist impulse. Impulse seeks immediate stimulation. Discipline seeks long-term reward. The future belongs to those who can ignore temporary pleasure for permanent progress. Your attention determines your emotional state. If you focus on obstacles, frustration grows. If you focus on progress, motivation rises. If you focus on comparison, insecurity expands. If you focus on gratitude and improvement, confidence stabilizes. Emotion is not random. It is directed by focus. Every morning you wake up with a limited amount of cognitive energy. Where you invest it matters. Spend it on meaningless noise, and you feel drained without achievement. Spend it on purposeful work, and you feel fulfilled even if the task was difficult. Attention is like a spotlight in a dark room. Whatever it shines on becomes visible and powerful. Everything else fades. If your spotlight constantly moves, nothing receives enough light to grow. But when you hold it steady on one objective, clarity appears, and clarity produces momentum. The disciplined individual does not allow external events to hijack their mental space. They choose what deserves focus. They decide what deserves emotional investment. They protect their concentration as if it were currency, because there will always be noise. There will always be opinions, trends, controversies, and distractions competing for your awareness. If you respond to each one, you surrender your direction. If you select only what aligns with your purpose, you strengthen your path. Focus compounds. 1 hour of undivided attention daily becomes mastery over years. 1 year of concentrated effort separates you from those who drift. 5 years of relentless focus can transform your entire reality. Control over attention is self-leadership. It is the refusal to let circumstances dictate mental movement. It is the choice to return your mind to the task again and again, even when it wanders. That repeated return builds mental endurance. Mental endurance creates advantage. In business, in relationships, in personal growth, the person who can stay focused longer wins, not because they are lucky, not because they are gifted, but because they refuse to fracture their energy. You cannot control every outcome immediately, but you can control what you think about right now. And right now is where the future begins. Direct your attention toward skills that matter, toward relationships that strengthen you, toward ideas that expand you, toward actions that move you forward. Guard your focus fiercely. Limit what weakens it. Eliminate what wastes it. Strengthen what sharpens it. Because your attention is not just a mental tool, it is the steering wheel of your life. And whoever controls that steering wheel determines the direction of the road ahead. Success begins in silence before the world makes noise. Before applause, before recognition, before opportunity knocks, there is a quiet space where decisions are made that no one else sees. That silent space is where direction is chosen, where standards are set, where identity is formed. Long before the world reacts to your results, you must learn to operate powerfully in isolation. Noise is seductive. It gives the illusion of progress. Constant updates, constant conversations, constant reactions create the feeling of movement. But movement is not the same as advancement. Real advancement is often invisible. It happens in focused hours, disciplined mornings, controlled thoughts, and private preparation. Silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. When you remove external input, you hear your own thinking more clearly. You recognize your doubts. You identify your strengths. You confront your excuses without distraction. Many people avoid silence because it exposes them to themselves. Yet exposure is the first step toward elevation. Before the world believes in you, you must build belief internally. That belief is not constructed in public. It is built in moments when you choose discipline over comfort, effort over ease, growth over entertainment. The world only sees the finished structure, does not witness the foundation being poured in solitude. The most dangerous habit is constant consumption. If you are always absorbing opinions, trends, and reactions, you never develop independent direction. Silence protects originality. It allows you to think deeply instead of reacting quickly. It allows strategy instead of impulse. Every great achievement has a hidden chapter. It is the chapter of early mornings, late nights, repetition, correction, and persistence without validation. In that chapter, there are no cameras, there is no applause, there is only commitment. Commitment is strengthened when it survives without attention. When you learn to sit in silence with intention, you sharpen focus. Your goals become clearer. Your distractions lose strength. Your priorities align. The noise of comparison fades. And in that quiet, you begin building something solid rather than something loud. The world rewards visible results, but visible results are born from invisible discipline. If you crave recognition before preparation, you weaken your foundation. If you seek validation before mastery, you compromise growth. Silence forces you to confront whether your ambition is genuine or dependent on applause. In silence, you plan, you refine, you evaluate. You strengthen weaknesses without embarrassment. You practice without pressure. You adjust without ego. These private adjustments prevent public failure. There is power in being underestimated. When you move quietly, you develop without interference. You grow without distraction. You build momentum without announcing it prematurely. By the time noise surrounds your success, the work is already complete. Silence also strengthens emotional control. When you are not reacting to every opinion, you conserve energy. When you are not defending yourself constantly, you protect focus. Emotional energy saved in silence becomes productive energy invested in progress. Success demands depth, not volume. Depth requires concentration. Concentration requires removing unnecessary input. The more noise you allow, the more diluted your thinking becomes. The quieter you become, the sharper your thoughts grow. In silence, you design your strategy. You clarify your vision. You measure your standards against your actions. You ask difficult questions. Are you consistent? Are you improving? Are you disciplined? Noise hides these questions. Silence forces them forward. Strength developed privately becomes confidence displayed publicly. When you know the hours you invested, the sacrifices you made, the skills you refined, external doubt loses power. You do not need constant reassurance because your preparation reassures you. The world often mistakes loud ambition for real ambition. But loud ambition without quiet work collapses under pressure. Quiet work without noise builds resilience. It builds competence. It builds stability. Silence teaches patience. It reminds you that progress is not instant. Growth is gradual. Skill is developed through repetition. Character is strengthened through restraint. You do not rush the process when you respect the power of preparation. There will always be voices telling you to hurry, to react, to compete, to respond. But the disciplined individual understands timing. They move when ready, not when pressured. They speak when necessary, not when provoked. When the world finally makes noise about your success, it will seem sudden to them. They will call it luck. They will call it talent. They will call it timing. But you will know the truth. You will remember the silent mornings, the focused hours, the deliberate choices made without witness. Success is not created in the spotlight. It is forged in quiet determination, strengthened in private repetition, and shaped by disciplined thought long before recognition arrives. Those who respect silence build substance. Those who chase noise build illusion. And substance always outlasts illusion. A directed mind becomes an unstoppable force. When thought is focused with intention, it cuts through obstacles like a blade through resistance. Power is not found in scattered effort. It is found in concentrated direction. The mind that knows where it is going refuses to be delayed by distraction, doubt, or delay. Most people do not lack intelligence, they lack direction. Their energy leaks into countless minor concerns, endless comparisons, temporary emotions. Without direction, even talent becomes wasted motion. With direction, even average ability becomes extraordinary performance. Direction transforms confusion into clarity. When you decide exactly what you are building, your mind begins filtering everything through that objective. Opportunities become visible. Distractions become obvious. Choices become simpler. The directed mind does not argue endlessly. It evaluates quickly and moves. Undirected mind reacts. A directed mind initiates. Reaction is driven by circumstances. Initiation is driven by purpose. The difference between the two determines the difference between drifting through life and shaping it deliberately. Focus is the engine of direction. Without focus, goals remain distant ideas. With focus, they become daily actions. Each action reinforces the path. Each completed task strengthens belief. Belief fuels persistence. Persistence overcomes resistance. When your mind is fixed on a meaningful objective, challenges lose their intimidation. They become puzzles instead of threats. They become stepping stones instead of walls. The same obstacle that stops a distracted individual becomes fuel for the directed one. Direction also eliminates internal conflict. Many people exhaust themselves debating whether to act. They negotiate with fear. They question their ability. They hesitate between comfort and growth. A directed mind has already chosen growth. That decision removes unnecessary mental friction. Clarity creates momentum. When you know your target, you stop wasting time chasing approval or temporary excitement. You align habits with ambition. You align time with priority. You align energy with progress. Alignment multiplies output without increasing effort. A directed mind is not loud. It is disciplined. It does not need constant validation because it measures progress against its own standards. It does not compare its path with others because it understands that comparison dilutes concentration. Every day presents competing demands for your attention. Without direction, you respond to whatever feels urgent. With direction, you invest in what is important. Urgency is temporary. Importance shapes the future. The directed mind recognizes the difference and acts accordingly. Strength is not the absence of difficulty. It is the refusal to lose focus in difficulty. When setbacks occur, the directed individual adjusts strategy but never abandons the objective. Adjustment is intelligent. Abandonment is emotional. Direction prevents emotional retreat. Your thoughts are powerful only when organized. Random thinking produces random results. Structured thinking produces measurable progress. The directed mind builds structure through planning, prioritizing, and reviewing consistently. Confidence grows naturally when you witness your own consistency. Each day you move intentionally toward your goal. Self-trust expands. Self-trust reduces hesitation. Reduced hesitation accelerates action. Accelerated action creates visible results. A directed mind understands sacrifice. It willingly eliminates distractions that conflict with its aim. It says no without guilt. It delays gratification without resentment. It recognizes that temporary pleasure is rarely aligned with long-term achievement. Energy becomes amplified when channeled toward a single objective. Scattered energy weakens. Concentrated energy intensifies. Like sunlight through a magnifying glass, focused thought generates heat strong enough to ignite transformation. There will always be noise attempting to redirect you. Opinions will surface, doubts will whisper, alternatives will tempt you. But when your mind is anchored in purpose, external noise loses influence. You listen selectively. You respond strategically. Direction does not eliminate fear, it overrides it. Fear may appear, but commitment remains stronger. The directed mind acts despite discomfort because it values progress over ease. Mastery is not built by constant change of direction. It is built by depth. Depth requires staying with a goal long enough to understand its complexity. The directed mind does not abandon a path at the first sign of resistance. It studies, adapts, and persists. You are capable of extraordinary output, but only when your thoughts move in unison. When every belief, habit, and decision supports a single mission, force multiplies. Momentum becomes natural. Discipline becomes identity. The world may attempt to slow you with obstacles, criticism, or uncertainty. But when your mind is fixed with clarity and reinforced by daily action, resistance weakens. Progress continues. Movement persists. And over time, steady directed effort achieves what scattered intensity never could. Self-command in the morning builds confidence all day. The way you begin is the way you continue. Before the world tests you, before responsibilities demand performance, there is a brief window where you either take control of yourself or surrender to impulse. That first decision echoes through every hour that follows. When your alarm sounds, you are not just waking up. You are confronting a choice between authority and avoidance. If you hesitate, if you negotiate, if you delay, you quietly teach your mind that comfort leads and discipline follows. But when you rise immediately, when you move without internal debate, you establish dominance over your own impulses. Confidence is not built in public victories. It is built in private obedience to your own standards. Every time you give yourself an instruction and follow it without resistance, you reinforce belief in your ability to act. That belief becomes a steady foundation. Morning is powerful because your willpower is strongest before it is scattered. The decisions you make then require less resistance, yet they carry enormous influence. Sitting up instantly, making your bed, drinking water, breathing deeply. These acts appear small, but they are declarations of self-control. Self-command means you decide your mood before circumstances attempt to decide it for you. Instead of waking up and waiting to see how you feel, you choose how you will show up. You